So my name's Luis Baro, born and raised in Chicago, North Sider, Medusa, kid, house servant. I knew this guy, he was a promoter, and I knew that he can get me into parties, so I would go with him to pass out flyers. And that led to getting a job for Tony Batoy, which is in Chicago at the time, one of the biggest promoters. He used to do Sunday nights at the Riv. And I was like 16 years old with a part-time job and a guest list at the hottest party in Chicago. And that was a big deal. And that sort of was my introduction into my professional life within the music world. I'd say it was something I wanted to do for a really long time, but then with working as a promoter, that led me into organizing my own events, and I sort of started putting it off. I was like, oh, when I get to it. Then I mentioned it to one or two of my close friends. At the time, they were very successful touring DJs, and they laughed at me. They were like, what? No, you stick to promoting. You're not allowed to DJ. And I'm like, get out. What? I'm not allowed to DJ. All right. And then that because they told me I wasn't allowed, that made me go even harder. And I moved in with this guy, Eric, that used to work at the Hip House. And he had a set of turntables. And it was 97 into 98, and I asked him, do you mind if I practice? He said, no, dude, go for it. And that was kind of like, and at the time, you know, there was Rebirth and Reason, and I kind of went through the gamut of DAWs. It can go many different ways. Everything from like I'll search YouTube and I'll look for chord progressions in jazz, and I'll start to mimic those chord progressions. And I can start with chords, right? And it'll be like some stabs and some pads. And then I'll be like, well, I need a kick drum, so it'll be the kick drum. And then it'll be like, well, let me just put a quick little hi-hat in there. You know, and that's sort of the beginning of a track. Sometimes if I get stuck, I'll watch a tutorial to learn something new, you know, like a plug-in or something that'll just kind of like push me over the edge, you know. For a really long time, I was kind of stuck doing the same thing, right? And it wasn't getting me very far. I would make these loops, and I made a few songs here and there, and I finished them and put them out. But it would take me months and months and months and months because my own refusal of like learning. I thought I knew the process, and COVID hit. And to be honest with you, I watched a start to finish tutorial, and that just pushed me over the top. You know, we're like now, like if I want to, I can finish a song in one day. You know, but it was the sitting down and watching an 8-hour tutorial, which wasn't really 8, it's more like 14, because you pause it and then you kind of mimic what they're doing, and then you start, you know what I mean? And that was, if anyone is stuck, take the time and get through the process. And voila. With Aaron Chase and I've known Aaron Chase since the 90s. And he was somebody that when I used to organize events in Chicago, he was really good friends with Nick. Nick was one of my associates, and Nick would always book him. And Aaron's one of those guys that can play a ton of instruments. He's a studio engineer and very talented guy, and was always like every time I'd see him, he'd give me a new CD with an album worth of music. And I moved to DC, and I think he ended up like having an accident and hurt his back. So I think like we just kind of fell out of contact. And then recently we reconnected, and I was like, hey, like I'm making these tracks. You should help me with them. He helped me mix some of them. He actually, this EP he helped me mix, and he's like, I gotta get on some of those, and I'm like, damn, man.
Within the integrity as the rivers lead, giving thanks and praise, O Jah Rastafari.
When George Floyd was murdered, it stifled the process because I wasn't motivated. I was just depressed and sad. And it was a reminder of the society that we're in, right? It's a reminder of where we're at. And I stopped making a song every day because it just didn't have the motivation. Right when COVID hit, I wasn't working, so I sat home and I just started cranking them out left and right, left and right, left and right. Every day I had a new song, and I'd send it to like 5 of my friends. And then when that happened, I stopped. And then all of a sudden, like people's streams and all these other things just didn't seem interesting to me anymore. And that was when we talked, and I'm like, it just doesn't feel right just putting out something and making it about us. Why don't we try to figure out a way to do something in order to sort of still express ourselves creatively, but then try to do something to give back for a worthy cause. It just, every little bit helps, right? So we're going to donate. We're going to release it on Bandcamp, and we're going to donate all the proceeds that are given through the Bandcamp campaign. And then you and I are going to match that. And we've decided on a couple of different worthy causes. And I think we finally decided on one. And we're going to hopefully make this a series and continue. And, every 3 songs, we put it out, we donate some money. In a way, these moments suck, but it might sound weird, but it's really bringing these subjects to the forefront. It's making us confront sort of the ugly side of our society. And I think that it's gotten a lot of people aware, because everyone is busy. Prior to COVID, everyone's busy working, everyone's busy doing this, doing that. No one has time for things. So then everything just gets swept under the rug. And now you see it, it's top of mind, it's in every discussion. You can't avoid it. And I really feel hopeful that it's pushing the bar, and we're seeing real change within government, within communities, within music, within art. It's forcing the conversation. It's forcing us to really analyze all of it.
Live within the integrity of the tree.